Okay. Welcome back to Viking Rogaland. I made a video on July 22nd concerning the terrorist attack or attacks that took place in Norway back in 2011. And if you see that video, it's quite short because I was disturbed abruptly by some shouting kids here in the house. So I just cut the video and make it very short. Um, But if you read the comments uh, from that video, you can see that my first idea at the time when I heard that the news on the radio, uh, most of us actually Norwegians, we thought that this explosion downtown in Oslo was due to some Muslim terrorists, because usually when this kind of attacks happen, uh, Muslim terrorists are behind it in the great majority of cases. And so at the time, what I want to discuss is actually that there would be a reason, a good reason for uh, Muammar Gaddafi, the leader in Libya, who was still alive at the time. Would be actually quite, he would be quite motivated to make some counterattacks because he and his country were bombed by NATO. And Norway, we were invited by the USA to take care of Gaddafi, I mean, to help take care of Gaddafi. And the whole thing was quite strange because the US government contacted our prime minister at the time, which is Jens Stoltenberg, who is now the leader in charge of NATO. And they asked if Norway would contribute with air, airplanes to attack Libya. And so he sent an SMS, as I remember correctly, maybe not correctly. But anyway, as my impression is that he sent just some SMS to the opposition, some opposition, and some uh, political leaders in Norway, both outside the government and inside the current government, and asked if they would accept that Norway attacked Libya. Now this is totally crazy, of course. How can he bring via some SMS without taking it up in the parliament uh, and have a vote over it? No, they just did some amazing SMS, and then Norwegian, what do you call them, war planes. I don't even know what this, if that was F-35 or F-16. But Norwegian planes were sent to Libya to bomb a nation that we had no reason to bomb. And Norway, in particular, dropped 588 bombs over that country. Now, some people claim that nobody was killed by those bombs, uh, but it is classified information, so we don't know for sure. I think it's quite evident that many people died, many innocent people died. So Gaddafi, he was very angry. He said in a TV interview that I will come after you guys who are attacking my country. The whole war with Libya was, in my opinion, very stupid, very crazy. Has nothing to do with righteousness and well-founded war. Just like when they took down Iraq and Saddam Hussein, they said that he had a lot of weapons of mass destruction. It turned out to be absolutely false. took down. This was like the Arab Spring when they took down uh, Libya, Gaddafi, and they attacked. I mean, they ushered in the so-called Arab Spring in. It started in Tunisia. By the way, I've been in Tunisia. It's a very nice country, very friendly people. And so it started as a revolt, a popular revolt there, and then it spread around. So it spread also to Egypt, and they even tried to do similar thing in Syria, uh, but the president of Syria, he didn't accept this bullshit, so he arrested a lot of people and he managed to clamp down the insurrection, at least in the part of the country where his government was living. So we know the story. The Arab Spring turned out to be basically a fiasco. Egypt lost their stable leaders. I don't say that they were good leaders in Egypt, but at least they were stable. They were somehow friendly with the Western world. And now you see again and again everything. I don't remember all those countries, but it was actually a plan by some military idiots who are basically situated in the United States of America, but do not represent the American people. Um, they had a plan, CIA, whatever you call it. They had a plan to take down these uh, Middle Eastern, North African nations to replace them with what we would call Western values, but most of the people don't want Western values. So you see what happened in Libya was that Gaddafi was accused of all kind of things, like he was planning a genocide on his own people, and they were making a lot of propaganda. Western media would go there, they would gather a small amount of people who would shout out slogans, and they will film and cut it. So it seemed like there was a popular uprising against Libya. Now, the Norwegian government was involved at the time as terrorists. I would say they were terrorists in Libya. Uh, Earlier on, they also NATO was terrorizing Serbia, uh, bombing bombing Serbia to end the war there in ex-Yugoslavia. By the way, I was there several times during the war, so it was terrible, of course. But I would say that the Serbs seem to be the most developed people in the region. And they are Christians, by the way, or Orthodox Christians linked to Russia. So of course, when Putin is attacked and vilified for what he is doing in Ukraine, he just points to the Americans and NATO, what they did in all these countries, Afghanistan, whatever they did. Um, they have been playing terrorists for decades. They also took down the league president in Indonesia early on, many years ago, back in the 60s, because he wanted to trade directly with Africa. Well, that was one of the main reasons. And so they labeled all the people there who were like nationalists and anti-America, they labeled them as communists, and there was a genocide. I think more than 1 million people were killed only in Indonesia during a purge, if you will. And then they put in their marionette president. This is basically what they are doing. So I don't say Putin is good, uh, but he's smart. Smart. And don't believe all the propaganda you see in the news about Russia. And I want to stress this also, that people say like, oh, Norway did this, Norway did that, USA did this, USA did that, France did this, uh, England did this, uh, Germany did this way back, But okay, in Germany, you might think, okay, that was actually most of the people. But For example, when Norway bombed Libya, the people were not even informed properly about it, and there was no referendum about it. It just happened via some SMS, and so these guys, they are actually terrorists. The Norwegian politicians who were responsible for the bombings in Libya, they are terrorists. So now, that's why I thought in myself, in my head, I was driving taxi at the time, July 22nd, 2011, the beautiful summer day, summer night. And of course, everybody was listening to on the radio, us drivers trying to figure out what is happening. And like I say, it would be justified, a terrorist attack against the government in Oslo. I wouldn't be surprised about it. And these people, they are not acting on behalf of what I could say, Ola Nordmann, the Norwegian typical man, Ola Nordmann, the Norwegian, the Norman Ola, Norway. Most people, especially my age, they are actually very skeptical to what happened then. Many people are very angry. And it is very interesting that Jens Stoltenberg got the job as the chief in command of NATO. Maybe this was the reward for him because he was obedient to what I would call the New World Order, CIA, US. So all these people, they have been doing so much bullshit, and not only the Democrats but the Republicans and everything. The most peaceful president for the last decades was Donald Trump. Everybody was trying to start a war with North Korea, but Donald Trump actually met the little rocket guy and managed to calm down the situation. Uh, and what happened in Ukraine was actually pushed on by the Biden administration. They wanted this war to happen. Russia had around 100,000 forces since was it 2014. So I saw some interviews with people from Ukraine before the Russian invaded. They say we don't worry because these people have been there on the border for 6, 7, 8 years, and they are just there to. They are not going to invade. But then you see, Putin, he is a friend also of Klaus Schwab, who is the founder of the World Economic Forum. So I think this is a game of thrones. This is a political game. Also, the government of Sri Lanka was following the orders of the World Economic Forum, USA, etc. With a green shift, they banned effective fertilizer and all kind of stuff. So it totally crashed the economy. Ghana did similar. Ghana was very prosperous a few years ago, but then they were persuaded to join the Paris Agreement to fight global warming. And what happened is that they were not allowed to use their abundant natural resources of fossil fuels. So now Ghana is basically in a blackdown. And they were not allowed to use the most effective fertilizer. So now the people in Ghana are starving, all due to World Economic Forum and this kind of, it's like a spider's nest where the spider himself is Lucifer, Satan, the devil, who want to bring forth his Antichrist to rule the world. If you read the book of Revelations, last book in the Bible, chapter 13, especially, you will see that the monetary system will be totally changed. And if you don't bow down and worship and take the mark of the beast, which is the Antichrist, and you will not be able to buy and sell. And he will rule all the nations, all the peoples, rich and poor. And if you take the mark of the beast, you will certainly not be able to be saved. he will burn in hell with the beast. So beware, people, that they call terrorist Anders Behring Breivik, who is a Norwegian man. He, in his own eyes, he was a freedom fighter. He was not a terrorist because he saw that the country was invaded by foreigners. And when he grew up, he was bullied by these foreigners. And so, in his eyes, he wanted to take a revenge on behalf of all the Norwegian people who never wanted a Muslim invasion in our countries, and hundreds of thousands of foreigners who just come there to exploit the welfare system, etc. So, of course, I don't like Behring Breivik. It's terrible. He's a mass murderer. I don't like his ideology. He's a racist. I am married to a Filipina. We have a son together. He is a mixed blood, mixed Norwegian Filipino. So of course I don't adhere to everything or most of the things that Behring Breivik did. But he wrote a manifesto, and it was published. You could find it online just short time after this terrorist attack on July 22nd, 2011. And a lot of the things he wrote there were actually true and good. Like he said, for example, that they are killing in Norway, the government is responsible for killing 15,000 babies through abortion. So it means like one school class every day of children is killed by the government. So who is the big terrorist here? He also said that if you change the law so that the man, the husband, the father will automatically have the children if there is a divorce, it would basically end the divorces in Norway, and you would end all the suicides from those fathers like me who lost their kids and then become financially slaves and has basically no hope of ever coming back again in life. No money, no house, no children, nothing but just paying and paying and paying. So um, all of these things are done by that government. So he wanted to punish those politicians who has opened up our country for the halfway membership in the European Union, even if our people, the Norwegians, voted against it twice. In 1972 and in 1994, we voted no. We don't want to become a member of EU. But still, the government don't care about us. And so I would say that if somebody is the real terrorist, it's the government of Norway. Okay, thank you for your attention. Let's hope you don't get too mad, but use your brain, okay? Because there are actually, we call them quislings. They are in every country in Western Europe who are selling out our countries to people from Africa, people from Middle East, people from Asia, who has nothing to do in Norway, who hate our culture, who hate Christianity. Some of them who come, they love Jesus, but still they also love someone to take the money from the European welfare states. And that is totally crazy. That money belongs to the taxpayers. If they come here and they don't pay tax, and they're gonna make their own ghettos, their own subcultures, and trying I mean, like in Sweden, they are raping even kids. They are raping and beating and killing so many people. These immigrants, most of them, they are from Muslim countries. So maybe one day people will realize that or understand that somehow that there needed to be a reaction. I don't say the reaction from Anders Behring Breivik was a good one, but sometimes history shows it. There need to be some kind of violent uproar because the voting system maybe it's fraudulent. We don't know because how is it possible that these idiots are re-elected and re-elected and re-elected? I never elected for them. I never wanted them, and I say fuck you. Get the hell out of my country. Don't destroy our Western. It's already too late, but you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, that's Viking Rogaland signing off from Philippines.